Hi everyone. Now we are going to deal with command of evidence quantitative type of question. We've already seen command of evidence textual question type, right? Now in this case, we will be getting some kind of a line graph, bar graph, chart, table, kind of an infographic. The strategy is going to be very simple. Again, don't look at the infographic that's been given to you and think that this is going to be difficult. It's rather going to be very easy. So just try and focus on the strategy that I'm using. I want you to focus on how I'm reading the question stem, how I'm reading the text, how am I looking at the graph or the table or the chart that's been given. Also, how I'm going to eliminate my options. These are some things that you have to pay attention to. Alright, so the first thing that I'm going to do is, of course, I'm going to read the question stem. It says, which choice most effectively uses data from the table to complete the example? So this gives me an information that there's an example that needs to be completed. Now, let's go ahead and read the text. Let's understand what is this example that's been discussed in the text. Some researchers studying indigenous actors and filmmakers in the US have turned their attention to the early days of cinema, particularly the 1910s and the 1920s, when people like James, Edwin, Lillian were involved in one way or another with numerous films. So basically, they are talking about these actors and filmmakers in the US at a particular time period, and that, these people were involved with more than one thing. They were involved in one way or another with numerous films, right? In some way or the other, they were involved with a lot of films. Great. Now with this understanding, let's go ahead and read the next part of the text. In fact, so many films and associated records for this era have been lost that counts of those four figures output should be taken as bare minimum. Alright, take a pause over here and try to understand what is it that they are talking about. That, they are saying these actors or these people, these people were basically actors and filmmakers who were basically involved with a lot of films in one way or the other. Okay, so something about the counts of these films they were associated to, correct? They have lost the counts of those four figures output should be taken as bare minimums rather than totals. So the figures that they have on the records should be taken as their bare minimums rather than the total films that they have been associated with. Right, so the record is going to show the numbers as bare minimum, as that of the films that they were associated with, rather than the total number of films that they were associated with. It is entirely possible, for example, that now we have to find an example from the table that basically supports this information, that the numbers in the records are going to show the bare minimum rather than the total number of films they were associated to. Let's go ahead and read the table now. Let's look at this table. Credited film output of James, Young, Deer, Dark Cloud, Edwin and Lillian. So these are the film output or the numbers that they were associated with, right? The credits being given to you for the number of films that they were associated with. So this is the record that they are talking about. Now the individual names are over here, years active is here, and the number of films known and commonly credited for. The data is here. Correct? And remember, what do we have to prove? We have to prove that these numbers are basically just the bare minimums, and the number of films that they were associated with are definitely more than these numbers, and we have to prove this, that the number of films they were associated with are more than the records show. Now let's go ahead and eliminate our options as per this understanding. A. Dark Cloud acted in significantly fewer films. Okay, let's identify where Dark Cloud has been discussed. So it's here. This person is here. Acted in significantly fewer films than did Lillian. So let's see the number of films he acted for. 35, Lillian 66. Okay, great. Who is credited with 66 performances. Alright, but the problem with this option is that it's showing some data that's already there in the records, but it's not really supporting the fact that the number of films they were associated with were definitely more than the numbers given in the record. I have to prove the more aspect, correct? So this is simply stating what's been given to us, correct? But this person, Lillian, has definitely worked on more than 66 films, because that's what the record is showing. So he's definitely worked in more than 66 films. So this is definitely out. It's not really proving what the example has stated over here. Now B says Edwin's 47 credited acting roles includes only films made after 1934. Okay, so 47 credited acting roles. Edwin. Okay, yeah, okay. Great, he worked for 47 and more films. As per the text, I know 47 and more. I have to prove 47 and more, not just the 47 films that he was credited for. And the year is like, you can give it a little bit of relevance over here because the period that we are talking about is 1910 and 1920s. Also, the chart basically, or the table, shows 1912 to 1934. But again, this is not relevant because it's really not giving me anything about the fact that Edwin has worked or been associated with more than 47 films. I need more aspect. C. Lillian acted in far more than 66 films and Edwin directed more than 58. This is definitely taking care of what I have been looking for, right? The example needs to show that the records show the bare minimum and they have definitely been associated with more number of films. And C is definitely making sense as per, the information given in the text and what we are looking for. I'll still go ahead and eliminate choice D. James actually directed 33 films and acted in only 10. Now, if you look at James' information, he acted in 33, at least 33, and he directed 35. So, first of all, the data given here is definitely incorrect, and this is also not taking care of the more aspect that I really need to show as an example. So, very clearly, C is the right choice.